Hello, your fruit bats, my little darlings, and welcome back. Welcome back to the only corner of the internet where the wisdom is genuine, the nonsense is deliberate, and the man delivering both of them is old enough to have an entirely different relationship with time than most of you that are going to be watching this. Which, as it happens, is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Time. The one thing, right? It's the only thing that every single human being on this planet has in equal measure every single morning when they wake up. And it's the one thing that almost every single human being on this planet proceeds to mismanage with breathtaking creativity before lunchtime. 24 hours. Every day. No exceptions, no extensions, no rolling it over into next month because this one got away from you. You know, I've had 68 years of those 24 hours. That is, if my arithmetic is correct, and I make no promises, somewhere in the region of about 24,000 days. Ouch. And I'm here to tell you, with the full authority of someone who has wasted a genuinely impressive proportion of that, that time is the only currency that actually really matters. And we treat it with a casualness that would be considered reckless if we applied it to anything in some comparable value. In the casino of life, we don't gamble it well. So let's talk about it properly while we still have the time, and some left. Now I want to be clear about it before this goes any further. This is not one of those videos where a man in an expensive chair tells you to get up at 5 in the morning, cold shower, journal, meditate, and I've completed 4 hours of deep work before the rest of the world has located their keys. I've got nothing against those people. I do admire their energy. I question their happiness and possibly their sanity as well. This is going to be something that's a bit more honest than that. This is a conversation about what time actually is, and what we actually do with it, and what if I could go back and have a word with a younger version of myself who was absolutely certain that he had plenty of it. This is what I would probably say. Some of it might be uncomfortable, you know. Some of it hopefully will strike a funny bone with you. Some of it will be both of those simultaneously, which is, I think, I find it's probably the most useful things where to tend to live. Somewhere in the middle. Right, so the clock's running, so let's go. So, you know, I usually in these things give some sad but truths. And I've got some about time, starting one that I think probably hits the hardest, which is the days are long and the years are short. This sounds a bit like a Hallmark greeting card, doesn't it? And there are other brands available. And I do apologise for that, but it is one of the most disorientating truths of a long life. You will have entire Tuesdays, I don't know why it's Tuesdays, it's always Tuesdays, that feel like they last a fortnight. And then you look up one morning and discover that a decade has passed while you weren't paying proper attention. The years do not go slow down. They accelerate. The older you get, the faster time goes. The old Pink Floyd song, Then One Day, you find that 10 years have got behind. It happens in a flash. And the older you get, you know, it's the faster they go, which is either proof of God's sense of humour or a deeply unfair design for, depending on your theological position. We are all procrastinating something important right now, today. Every one of us has something we know we should be doing, a conversation that we're avoiding, a decision we're deferring, a dream we've been intending to start on since approximately 2009, and we are instead doing something that feels productive but is actually just sophisticated avoidance. Reorganising the desk, research rather than doing, watching one more video. I include myself in this without reservation. I wrote a book, which if you go to thefifieldstudio.com, you can find called Busyness is Not Life, and there's a chapter in there called The Can, the Road Down and How to Kick, which is all about procrastination. It's worth a read. You know, busy is not the same as productive. This took me an embarrassingly long time to learn, especially in business. I've had extraordinarily busy days that achieved nothing of consequence whatsoever at all. And quiet, unhurried mornings that change the direction of everything. The diary full of meetings is not evidence of importance. It's frequently evidence of an ability to say no. An inability to say no, okay? A reluctance to think. And a corporate culture that has confused movement with progress. We save the good things for later. The good china, the good wine, the good coat, the good conversation, the proper holiday, the thing that we've been meaning to do together when things calm down, and things do not calm down. Later is a place that has a surprisingly unreliable postal service. The good china is for now, and so is everything else. Urgency is not importance, and importance is almost never urgent. The things that actually matter, the really, really important things, your health, your relationships, your sense of purpose, the slow accumulation of a life well lived, they rarely arrive with a deadline attached. The things that scream for your attention loudest are almost never the things that deserve it the most. And learning to tell the difference is one of the great disciplines of a life well spent, and I'm still learning it. We will all go on learning it for all of our lives. We remember almost none of it. The average Tuesday from 7 years ago is gone. Not hazy, but gone. The meetings, the emails, the minor urgencies that felt enormous. At the time you thought they were just the things that had to be dealt with. They've dissolved entirely. What we tend to remember are the moments, the conversations, the afternoons that turn into evenings without anybody noticing, the unexpected things that crept in sideways and turned out to matter. Which raises an interesting question about how we're spending the Tuesdays that we still have, the ones that we've still got left. Now, also in these videos I tend to bring some curses there, and for the specific categories that I'm talking about, and I think here it's going to be of the people or the person who steals other people's time with particular enthusiasm and no apparent guilt whatsoever. The person that's always late. Alright, well, may you spend an eternity in a waiting room with no signal, a broken coffee machine and a magazine from 2014, with a crossword already completed in pen in the wrong answers. May the same thing go for the person who calls the meeting with no agenda and ends it with the words, "Let's regroup on this." May you regroup endlessly with the same 6 people about the same unresolved thing until the end of time itself. For the person who replies to a 3-line email with a request for a call to discuss, may that call be scheduled, rescheduled, moved to a video call, experience really bad technical difficulties, and not result in an email that could have been sent in the first place. And for the person who says, "Oh, this won't take long," and then takes considerably longer than anyone could have reasonably predicted and shows no sign whatsoever of stopping, may someone say it to you repeatedly on the day when you genuinely do have somewhere to be. And then for the person, I suppose, before we get to the final one, for the person who responds to every reasonable request with, "I just need to find a window," may your window remain permanently closed, slightly jammed and facing north. And finally, and I suppose this should be said with great tenderness, for the person who spent most of their life waiting for the right moment to start the thing that they always wanted to do. May you, my darling, may you run out of excuses before you run out of time. And may the running out of excuses happen today. Right, so here's what I actually know, because I don't know much. But this is, what I've managed to glean and garner from, 24,000 days of personal research on how we spend it. Show me your calendar, okay? And your bank statement, and I will show your actual priorities. Not the ones you describe at dinner parties, not the ones you intend to have, but the real ones. The ones you vote for every day with the 2 most honest currencies you have. Time and money usually do not lie. Everything else is aspiration. This is not a comfortable exercise, but I recommend it anyway. On wasting it, here's the thing about wasted time that took me decades to understand. Not all of it is wasted. The afternoon that looked like nothing, the conversation that wandered, the long walk to no destination, the book finished in one sitting on a Sunday when there were 24 more productive things available. Look, rest is not waste. Play is not waste. Laughter is not waste. The relentless optimism is not waste. Trying to make the most of everything, trying to optimize every hour, is paradoxically one of the greatest wastes of a life that I've ever witnessed. Leave room for the unscheduled. That is frequently where the best of things happen. The serendipity of life, the chance encounters with time. On the things worth spending it on, people, overwhelmingly. The experience of time spent in genuine connection with people you love and who love you back is the only investment I have ever made that returned more than I put in every single time without exception. Not networking, okay? Not contacts, not professional relationships carefully maintained for strategic purposes. No. Love. Friendship. The kind of conversation that goes somewhere neither of you expected. Spend time there as if your life depends on it. And you know what? In every way that matters, it does. On regret. Wow, the research on this is remarkably consistent, and remarkably uncomfortable. People at the end of their lives do not regret the risks they took, they regret the ones that they didn't. They do not regret the time they spent with people they love, they regret the time they didn't. They do not regret being too kind or too generous, too present, too willing to stop to pay attention. They regret the opposite. This information is available to all of us. We proceed regardless, and I include myself in this as well. On starting, whatever it is you have been meaning to start. Whatever it is, whether it's a book or a business, or a conversation or an apology, or maybe it's a new direction. The thing that you know you really should be doing, and you aren't. The best time to start it was 10 years ago, okay? The second best time is right now. Not Monday, not January, not when the children are older or the mortgage was smaller and the moment will feel more right. No, it won't. No, if you want to do it now. Do it today. Do it in 5 minutes after this video ends. Because here's the thing about starting. It's almost always smaller and less dramatic than we've made it in our heads. The barrier is the imagining of it, okay? That's the thing that we put in the way. Remove that. The doing is nearly always a lot more manageable than we think it will be. So start the thing. You can refine it as you go. But you can't refine something that you haven't started. So at least start it. Can keep coming back to this, but be prepared to commit sins of commission rather than omission. Get on with it. And slowing down. Well, I spent the majority of my working life moving fast decisions, fast travel, fast turnaround. And for a while I was good at it. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I'll tell you what I missed. I missed a great deal of the scenery. I missed conversations that I guess were there that were trying to happen if I'd let the stillness let them. I miss the slow accumulation of the ordinary days that turn out in retrospect to have been the good ones. Yeah, I'm not going to say that speed doesn't have a place. It does. Of course it has its place. But so does stillness. And stillness requires a decision, especially now, especially in a world that has engineered every possible obstacle to it. Choose it deliberately. Protect it fiercely. It is where you find out what you actually think, and thinking is a rare commodity. Take a long walk in the woods. Sit looking out over the bay, whatever it is. Take time to think. Take time to be still. Take time to be present in yourself. So, what does the long view give you that the short one doesn't? Well, I guess it's perspective, isn't it? The thing that feels enormous today, the delay, the setback, the plan that fell apart, the year that didn't go the way you needed it to go, will, in most cases, look considerably smaller from 10 years out. Not all of it. Some of it will still matter and some of it will still really hurt. But most of the things we spend our time worrying about and rushing towards, or dreading, they have a way of shrinking in the rearview mirror to a size that bears no relationship to how large they possibly did feel at the time. And the things that grow, the things that get larger and more significant the further away you get from them, they're almost the things that we never thought they'd be. They are the ordinary days, the unremarkable moments, the people who were just there, but consistently just there, without drama, without fanfare. They were the thing that held everything together. You're living your ordinary days right now. They are not nothing. They are in fact the whole thing. So please, 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 pay attention to them. So, there we are, my glorious fruit bats. Time. The only thing that nobody can give you more of. The thing that most of us are absolutely certain we have plenty of. And the one thing that is a way of proving us comprehensively wrong at the most inconvenient possible moment. Please spend it on what really matters. And say no to what doesn't. Start the thing, make the call, open the good wine, use the good china, have the conversation you've been putting off. And for the love of everything sensible, if this has been a worthwhile, 15, 16 minutes, whatever it's been, of your finite and irreplaceable time, then do me a favour. Leave me a comment. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you think. Or like it, share it. I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to it as well. And come back next time. There is more where this came from. I've got 68 years of material and an entirely reasonable or unreasonable amount of time left to say it. Maybe not as much as we think, but hey, who knows? Okay, take good care. Toodles.